This is a tutorial on GradeCam Pro, the advantages and disadvantages versus formative. So to get started with creating an assignment in GradeCam Pro, you would go to the district website, choose your school, and students would also log in via Clever. You click login with Clever, and then log in with Google. And once you land at the Clever login page, you'll find the GradeCam Pro app, which is down here. And this whole process can be a little tedious. It's better in some systems for the teacher versus, how much time you're putting into this. So here you're at the GradeCam Pro main site. You want to allow camera use. It's meant for kind of like offline grading or online. We're going to demonstrate online and do comparisons on that. So the Windows version here is a little bit different than my screen. So what you want to do is you want to create a new assignment, and we were going to do a multiple question test. You can do observational assignments, performance or skill based. I haven't looked at this. There's really not a way that you can actually input questions. You can't import them. I don't even think you can create them to be an online test if you were to cut and paste them in from, let's say, a PDF or a Word document test that you have. So we'll do the multiple choice assessment. This assessment name is going to be lesson 10. It's from the We the People book, and it is chapter quiz over lesson 10. And this particular quiz has 42 questions. I can't make the quiz worth 20 and pull from a bank of 42 to randomize because it's going to have me basically just upload a static PDF. So our date's 9/11. That's fine. It doesn't matter if it's private. We'll save it. And now it brings up the actual lesson, and it gives you basically an answer sheet. So now on the answer sheet, you need to open up your PDF and then choose your answers and all that. But the first thing I'll do is I'll show how I set it up before I get to dealing with the answer key, putting the answers in and the standards in and the points in. I do show standards just so it's always there. And then we want to add an attachment here. That's the actual test. That's the questions. And you click upload. You find that in the specified area. I've got the PDF on my desktop, and it's called Lesson 10 Study Guide without answers. Let me see right here. Open, and it uploads. And you want to put Show in Student Portal so the students have access to it, and save. Now that's there, so that it's basically a PDF. And what this is a PDF of is this right here without answers. This is the test. So, you got 42 questions, and this is what the kids see. Now, in exam view, if you're creating it, you can actually version this, and that means that each student could get a different version. The problem is that when you go back in under the GradeCam Pro, you really can only assign one of these to one class. So you can't version within a class, but you could version from class to class to prevent them from screenshotting the test itself and using Cami or whatever to mark the correct answers on the test as they do it and sharing it with the entire student body, which is rather a problem with some of these systems today. So once you get that set up, what you're going to do is I get that PDF. Actually, I'm going to pull up the one with answers now because you're going to have to put those answers in. So here's my answers. I got A, B, D. Perfect. So we'll put a couple of these in over here. So we've got A, B, D. So that's good. That's fairly quick to do. And you can see it adds the points. Now I go in to add my standards. My standard set is going to be, you got to scroll down here. We're going to be doing social studies, grade 9, Common Core academic standards for Kentucky. And this is dealing with, question 1 deals with the legislative process. So there's my standard, and I go back, and then I go save. And voila, finally, with one question, I've got my standard, I've got my answer, and it's tied to my study guide, which is great. And you do this for all 42 questions, which is rather time consuming. And the end product is going to be basically students will, well, okay, so we got to get this to the students now. So we've got our answers, we've got our standards. That's great. Make sure I don't have any other settings here that are wrong. We got our forms, more standards. So at this point in time, we're going to want to go over here, make sure our assignment's set up properly. That looks good. We'll save that. And then you want to check the student portal options. That brings up this here, and we're good to go. There are some settings here, like you can have it prevent students from copy and pasting, which does no good here. And they have a time limit, which is problematic for special ed students, so you really can't use that. And then you've got when the assignment's due. All looks good, great. Go ahead, and there's nothing to save, so I'm just going to cancel out of that. Then you go back into this, and you want to share the assignment, so we're going to share it, and it should pop up a place here to share with Google Classroom, which is fine. This is where sometimes I get a little bit, takes me a minute to find it. Oh, add classes. So we're going to add this to the integrated social studies, my 6th period, because I experiment a lot with these kids and they know what's what. You can change all these settings. We're going to save that. And now we're going to add online access. If you click this, it'll probably be there. Now you can actually see the buttons that come up, or you can share it. We're going to go ahead and shoot this to Google Classroom. I already put one in there, but it's I think it's kind of problematic. So we'll just share this to Google Classroom. I'm going to put 6th period, and you got to fill out all this stuff, what type of assignment. It's not good to make it an actual assignment, so I think I made a mistake there, so let's do it again. You want to make it material. It's being a little buggy. Something's telling me to, no, just doesn't like this drop down. Okay. Good. All right, here we go. Loading the classes. And we want 6th period. And we're going to make this the lesson, kindly to people. We don't really need instructions, but you want to make this, well, it's going in as an assignment. Yeah, you can get it to go in as material. That's what I'd rather do because, well, it's fine because if you want to use your Google Classroom gradebook, that's fine. I don't use that, so material works fine for me. This is actually worth 41 points, not 100, so you correct that. And you've got, I'm going to put it in the week topic. Actually, I'm not. I'm going to let this just flow to the top. I'm going to put in here test 2, so I know which one it is. And all students 41, no due date, that's fine. And assign. Now the kids are going to see it. What the issue is the kids are going to get that PDF file when they open it. And a lot of the kids know they will take a screenshot, like I said, on their Chromebooks. And then they use Cami, they fill in the answers, and they share it via Google Doc with the entire student body. And by your next class period, unless you don't version it, or even in the same class, if you are unable to really keep on the kids watching their tabs, they end up getting all the answers, and then it renders your standards useless. It renders the whole thing null and void. Because what is nice about GradeCam Pro is once you get all this stuff set up in here, you can actually go over to the results area and the reports. And the reporting part is quite impressive because it gives you item reliability, which is your SPS, kind of like software looking at the question, if it's a good question or not. You get item summary and then item analysis. What I don't like is it doesn't really give you a clear perspective on which standard the students are meeting 60%, 70%, 80%, so forth. I don't think. Maybe once students start taking this, it'll prove me wrong and it'll put that in there. But you want to be able to see how the class as a whole did with regard to that standard. And this test will hit a few different standards 2 or 3 different times, and it's really necessary in a smaller summative test like this, because one question will not really meet some of the standards criteria for social studies. You have to have 2 or 3 questions that kind of hit that standard differently to show mastery. And on each standard, it'll show the students and how they performed, like 80% of it's met, 60% of it's met. And that'll show for as an entire class or an individual student, which is great. All these systems do this, and that can push into your student tracking systems and early warning systems that you might have available in your district. So overall, it's not bad. I think the criticism here is without being able to import questions and have them actually be put in HTML format online, you can't scramble questions, you can't scramble answers, and you can't put restrictions on some of these variables. And then also special education accommodations with 50%ing the answers and things like that becomes very difficult. Good things about it is it has a really good reporting aspect of it here for your standards analysis. You also get a lot of reporting on the students and the classes, your teachers, your schools. It's really good reporting all the way around. That's nice, but it really renders it null and void if the students have an ability to be able to, kind of negate the system with as far as authentic assessment. So until they change that, it's going to be problematic. You can get around, like I said a little bit, if you're using ExamView and you can version your test, you can kind of stop that from happening from hour to hour to hour if you're giving the same test and you're teaching the same thing. But it would be really difficult to version the test within a class, within the system. It would confuse the students. You'd basically be deploying assignments for different kids. And I don't think there's a way to restrict the students in classes, because when you go to your class and you go like to Social Studies 6 here, it'll give you all the students. And you might be able to select certain ones and get only some to take assignment version 1 versus assignment version 2. But this puts a tremendous amount of work on the teacher. So that kind of wraps up this kind of explanation of how to use GradeCam Pro. I'll be doing formative next, and you may want to compare formative, because formative's not perfect. It's got some flaws, but it does definitely bring down the ability of students to be able to cheat on assessments, more so than GradeCam Pro. And it does the standards checking as well. So look for that video and do a comparative analysis. I'll kind of do a summary of both systems in the next video. Thanks for watching.